Hey guys, your old buddy Marshall here, and looks like we're up to bat for, going back in time a little bit, not too far. Still the current draft format, Dragon's Maze, Return to Ravnica, Gatecrash Limited. Let's dive right in. Gaze of Granite's a pretty sweet rare. I've used it to great effect, though. It does affect both sides of the board, and I don't love the card. I like it a lot, though. This is a card I do love, and I think that's the one I'm going to end up taking here. We can hope to wield this Windrake or maybe a Orzhov Guildgate. Karazda Gorgon is a card I like a lot. Fatal Fumes is pretty good. Everything else is pretty mediocre here. You know, there's a Steeple Rock or whatever, but I like far and away the best out of this pack. I think it's the most powerful card. It's the most consistent 2-for-1 that you can get, and it's flexible on both sides. I think I'd like to try to draft a control deck here, either a Dimir-based deck, with either white or maybe red as a splash color. Ooh, Punish the Enemy there. I like that one. I like it a lot better than Breaking and Entering. Breaking and Entering is kind of not that great, actually. The breaking side of it doesn't really do anything much, and the entering side of it is pretty good. You know, I'd pay 6 mana for that effect, but it kind of asks a lot. If you're going to dump 6 mana into something, why don't you just play a sweet creature? Like Entering and Maze Rusher are probably, there's definitely an argument about which one of those is better, and Maze Rusher is not that great. So I'm going to take Punish the Enemy here. Maybe we'll be Grixis Control. I kind of like that. We get some decent Izzet stuff in the last pack, along with some nice black cards like Stab Wound and that kind of thing. It's a pretty decent pack here. I like Pilfered Plans quite a bit. There's a Tithe Drinker, which we could also take and kind of hedge here. Zertod Druid and Crawl Warrior are both cards I can certainly appreciate. Maw of the Obsidian, also something we could consider, but with already having to Punish the Enemy, I don't think that Maw is quite powerful enough for us to jump over. I'm just going to take Pilfered Plans here. I really like Pilfered Plans, especially in a control deck, especially if we end up running a couple of Clue Stones, which happens pretty often in these type of decks. Back from Kansas City from the GP this weekend. It was a pretty sweet Modern event, but happy to be home after a long trip to Vegas and then Kansas City. Actually get to draft at home now. Not a ton here for us. I really like Maze Abomination. I also don't mind an Opal Lake Gatekeepers. We do need to pick up a creature here. Which one's better? I don't know. It's close. I mean, with some gates, the Gatekeepers is quite nice, but maybe not quite as good as the black one. Oh, wait. Sire of Insanity. I think I just take this, actually. For some reason, I overlooked this, but now that I see it, I really like it. It's a 6/4. And as long as you have the board when you cast it, it basically means that they have to top deck a way to deal with it. And I like that. I also like the fact that we can figure out how we want to play it once we know that we have it in our hand, where we can dump our hand and really just go for it. Yeah, I like this guy quite a bit. He's also kind of scary, it turns out. All right. Ooh. Well, there's a Haunter of Nightvale, a Punish the Enemy, and an Izzet Guildgate, so I like the direction that we're going here for sure. I'm going to take the Haunter. The Guildgate and the Punish the Enemy are close behind, but I think Haunter is really, really good, and it really screws up some decks. The more of these you can get, the better. And you can kind of set up for a situation where your Sire of Insanity, or just really any finisher, either in the air or on the ground that's big, can finish off your opponent, and I like that quite a bit. All right, not a ton for us here. I think I'm actually just going to take this Guildgate here. I'm not going to play this Bane Alley Blackguard, and definitely not going to play Showstopper. This Clue Stone isn't probably going to be on color. This Haza Snare Squad's the best card, but I'd rather just pick up a random Guildgate than play a card that I'm just not going to end up playing most likely. All right, so we get Melek very late here, and I think we're just going to go for it. I mean, not that this card's great by any stretch, but hell with it. I don't really need another Pilfered Plans. These are off color. The Murmuring Phantasm would make the cut, but let's go deep. You guys can get a look at what Melek does here. Can do some pretty broken stuff, and we've got already in the early stages of this draft some pretty nice ones for that. Far and Away, Pilfered Plans, and Punish the Enemy, if you cast them off of Melek, are all really nasty. So that's awesome. This could be pretty fun. I'm going to take this Rubble Belt Maka here. That's... Oh, wait. More Carnage Gladiator. This is actually a much tougher decision. Maka's easier to cast. Carnage Gladiator, though, is more resilient. Yeah, I think I'm still going to stick with the Maka here. Alright, we got the Fatal Fumes back. Oh, and the Windrake. I was hoping to get either of these. I think I'm actually just going to take the Windrake in this case. I want to get some flying going, and this isn't the best removal spell. We've already got Punish the Enemy and Far and Away. So I'm going to take the Windrake here. I think Windrake's like super solid in this format. It's usually solid in every format, but in this one I find that it just slots very nicely into what it ends up fighting. Alright, Nivik Cyclops. Let's do it. The lame part is, and because sadly I can say I've actually had this before with Melek Izzet Paradigm, is that Nivik Cyclops says when you cast it, and this when you do this, it just copies it, but you're not actually recasting it. Nothing to really play here. I guess we'll take this Clue Stone, but probably not going to end up running it. All right, got Maze Abomination back. So we're totally set. This is fine here too. We're totally set on 6 drops. Like, we really don't need much else at the top end there. So that's fine. Yes. And neither of these actually do anything. Hey, look, another one. But yeah, and so we want to kind of fill out this middle section. Of course, Guild Gates are going to become high picks for us. And along that lines, I mean, as much as I like a Simic Flux Mage, I think that Prophetic Prism's the pick here. We have just no real fixing yet, and this actually fixes everything for us. So, yeah, got to do it. All right, here's a Grizzly Spectacle. One of the best, if not the best, just outright removal spells in the format. I like it much better than Whispering Madness at rare, or even Skinbrand Goblin. So yeah, definitely Grizzly Spectacle here. Here's a kind of interesting decision. We've got a Gutter Skulk or a Metropolis Sprite. Sprite is a better threat. Skulk is... Wow, we got a lot of not jerks here. You bet. Get in there. I like it that so many people are not jerks. It makes me feel good. Sometimes you bump into one on Magic Online and it makes it feel like they all are, but they're definitely not. Yeah, so Gutter Skulk asks a bit less of you. Still, I'm going to take the Sprite here. I just think it's a better card overall. As much as I like a Gutter Skulk. Alright, this is... White of Precinct 6 is quite strong. But Psychic Strike and Gutter Skulk are also pretty good. I think between Gutter Skulk and White, I'd rather just take the White. It has a higher upside. It doesn't require a whole lot to get as good as the Skulk, and it can get a lot better. Yeah, I'm just going to take it. I like it as a card anyway, and we have a decent amount of removal already. Yeah, speaking of removal, here's a bit more. I wouldn't mind taking this Ripscale Predator either. I really do think it's like a Premier 6, but having this Maze Abomination already, I'm like, we're okay. So Psychic Strike, Devour Flesh, Throral Parasite, Death's Approach are what we're looking at. Death's Approach, it should work pretty well in this deck. We've got a Far and Away. We've got a Pilfered Plans to get a couple of cards into their yard, and a Grizzly Spectacle to do the same. Plus, we just got Punish the Enemy to just kill their guys. Probably going to be better than a Death's Approach here. Than a Devour Flesh here, I think. Devour Flesh varies so wildly on when it's good and when it's not. There's times when it's just absolutely amazing, and there's times when you kill like a Seller of Songbirds or maybe a Bird Token or something like that. And man, that kind of range is kind of crazy. With Death's Approach, it's a little more controlled about what you're actually going to kill. The upside isn't quite as good in the sense that, like, if they play some huge bomb late, Death's Approach often won't kill it. But I still like it a little better, I think. in this deck at least. All right. Unfortunately, not a great pack for us. I don't want Horror of the Dim at 5. Keymaster Rogue, what are you doing, Keymaster Rogue? You're okay. He's okay in our deck, actually. I love Frilled Oculus, but I mean, I guess I could just run a Frilled Oculus as a 1/3 and then just randomly Prophetic Prism or Simic Guildgate it up. That's probably okay, actually. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Not exciting by any stretch, but it'll work. All right, threat or answer? That is the question. Death's Approach or a Death Cult Rogue? I like Death Cult Rogue if I'm doing stuff with it, like equipment or even Cypher cards. I would certainly play it in this deck, but I think I'm just going to go for another Death's Approach. I just want to have as many answers as I can. Sapphire Drake is good. Leyline Phantom's actually really good in a deck like this, though. Yeah, I'm actually going to take the Phantom over the Drake. I think the Drake's pretty good, but we're not going to have too many +1/+1 counters, if any. And Leyline Phantom really does get the job done. So we really wanted this Flux Mage, and instead we just decided to go ahead and wheel it. Love that. Love all this stuff. Whispering Madness, interesting. Last Thoughts, also pretty decent. We'll take that. I don't know if we're going to run it. Definitely going to slam Mortis Strider here, though. Probably going to hide it. And man, we're just getting back all the stuff that we passed. Definitely feel like we're in a decent spot here. Still want more fixing. Remember, this Cluestone doesn't actually fix us at all, so this is gone. We've got a Prophetic Prism for fixing. That's it. Thankfully, we're only splashing red at this point. With these cards at 6, a Rebel Belt Maka, which is pretty versatile. This guy, which we can take or leave, and a Punish the Enemy. Everything else is blue and black. But remember, we're going into the last pack here, and this is where some Izzet cards are going to be pretty good for us. And we probably won't be able to pick up as many Dimir-colored cards here. So let's try to lean towards... I definitely would prefer to lean towards blue, black, splash red, but like I said, it can be tough in this last pack because there's some really sweet red stuff. Hopefully we just get a bunch of stab wounds. That'd be pretty ideal. I'd totally run a key rune in this deck as well. Ooh. Man. Lots of sweet stuff for our deck. There's an Annihilating Fire, a Thought Flare, a Thrill Kill Assassin, and a Chaos Imps. Well, I just said I'd rather keep it blue-black, but I mean, Chaos Imps is just an outright bomb, and I'm not going to pass it here. Ultimate Price, Lobber Crew. Yeah, it's definitely ultimate price here. Instant speed, cheap removal that pumps up our Death's Approaches, even if it's just a little bit. I love that. Yeah, we've got good finishers. Like I said, I really would like actually a key rune. We might even run one of those Cluestones just for ramp, which is really not ideal. I do that rarely, or if I can avoid it, never. But yeah, this deck has a lot of 6s. It really does want a lot of mana. Could also just run 18 lands, which seems likely at this point as well. Certainly some easy cuts that we could make. Some of the red cards, we could cut Rebel Belt Maka, for example. Wow, Carnival Hellsteed, too? Gutter Snipes, Chainwalkers, and Action Injunctions, Jailbreakers, even it isn't Guildgate that we could really use. Wow, this is just an insane pack for us. Even a Skyline Predator. Man, we're going to get something back awesome here. Although these 6s are starting to add up, putting a little pressure on our poor Melek, especially because like Death's Approach doesn't work with him. I mean, look, I'm not going to warp all my picks just for Melek. If it's a tiebreaker situation, I would take it. But like, for example, the Death's Approach versus Devour Flesh, I'm not going to let the fact that I have Melek make it take a card that I don't want. Man, I really feel like even with all this great stuff, Nivix Guildmage in here, Gutter Snipes, I'm going to get something back, and I feel like I just want to take this Guildgate. I know that's lame because Carnival Hellsteed's really powerful, but we've got 6s, and I'm just not really worried about it, so I'm just going to take this Guildgate as much as it pains me, to be honest. All right, well, this is an easy choice for me. Inspiration's actually on the list too, but Rixmati Guildmage is fantastic. And the best part about it in this deck is that it's not a turn 2 play it doesn't have to be a turn 2 play to be good. All right, I'm going to slam this Steam Vents. It's a non-color dual land, and it enables our splash, and I'm super happy to pick that up here. Probably not going to end up doing the Oculus thing here. Okay, here's a tough decision. There's a launch party here, which is just adds to our removal and is really, really good, but man, there's an Is It Key Rune. And I was mentioning how I'd love to run a Key Rune of sorts. This is the worst one, pretty significantly, but it is red, and it does ramp, and we do have tons of removal. So yeah, I'm gonna slam it, and we're gonna run it too. I think at this point I would probably run it if it just said taps for red or blue. I mean, getting up towards Chaos Imps, which again really wants, these type of things. We got kind of lucky. Here's another Guildgate too. I'm definitely... Ooh, actually, maybe I'm just going to take the Promenade here. That's an interesting question. I mean, I think Promenade's a lot better as far as, like, I can take the early hit and then recover with our removal and 2-drops. But if we wheel that Ogre Jailbreaker, we're going to want to run it, and we're going to want to run the Guildgate. Yeah, I'm not going to plan on wheeling it. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, but I'm just going to actually take the Promenade because I don't think we have anything else that really cares. And we just need the flexible fixing more than we need anything else. Azorius Guildgate, there's no splash for us. I'm going to take a Syncopate. I don't think we're going to end up main decking it, though. All right, Tenement Crasher, Grim Roustabout. Not running Pursuit of Flight. I'm not really going to run a Crasher either, so I'll take the Grim Roustabout. But I don't actually think it's going to make the main in this deck. Man, all that other sweet stuff went away. I guess I shouldn't be shocked. Definitely going to... Oh, maybe not definitely. I'm going to take a Cancel or a Mind Rot here. Having access to a Cancel is pretty sweet. Mind Rot can be really good against certain opponents, though. Cancel's harder to cast. Yeah, I'll take a Mind Rot, I guess. Don't think I'm going to run Last Thoughts. I like just Pilfered Plans for that. All right, here's that stacked pack that we had. I really like Nivix Guildmage here, I think. I mean, Gutter Snipe can add up for sure, especially we do have a decent amount of removal, but I like Nivix Guildmage a lot, and I feel better about our fixing. Ooh, this is a good pickup. We might run that. Yeah, we might run that. Definitely going to pick up a Cancel here. Probably not going to main it. I'm probably not going to main this Mind Rot either. Hey, a Slug. Not going to main that. Yeah, all right. So we've got some wiggle room here for sure. I like how this ended up, though. I mean, we're pushing the boundaries a little bit here and there with like the Chaos Imps, but it's a 6-drop. Like we certainly can hope to have a good amount of this stuff later in the game. Let's see where this puts us here. I like this guy quite a bit, and this probably not that. I'm going to put the Inspiration in. I certainly like it a lot better than Last Thoughts, for example. Abomination, Spectacle, White. I like White a lot in this deck. I like those two, and I like all three of our straight-up cards there. These things always hide back there. All right, that puts us at 19. Pilfered Plans, Haunter, Sire, Guildmage, Cyclops, and Paragon. So we actually are significantly over playables here. So let's start trimming some stuff down. We could probably cut a removal spell. We probably have plenty here. Let's see. The Key Rune goes down here. We could also cut one of our card draw spells if we want. Though I really like them in decks like this. I like running 18 lands and a bunch of card draw spells so that we always just draw the goods. We could certainly cut one of our 6s as well, though I really like the ones that we ended up with. Melek is for sure the worst of this bunch. Okay, well, I think Inspiration is really interesting with Nivix Cyclops. But I really like it better in like an 18 land situation, and we're probably going to be in that. Not 100% sure. I could probably cut one Death's Approach pretty easily here. I can cut at least 2 creatures from this. I want to be defensive. Perhaps Nivix Guild Mage is a little bit guilty. Or not guilty, greedy, I mean. Maybe Rick's Mahdi Guild Mage is. Maybe it looks something like this. Or maybe even just looks like this. That cuts a lot of power out of our deck. I don't really know if that's necessary here. We'd still need to make one more cut too. This is a tough build actually, because really we got to figure out what the deck is doing. I like Rubble Belt Maka just as a ground pounder, just to sort of shore things up. Simic Flux Mage is going to pull its weight. And then our upper tier stuff is good. This is all card draw and removal, mana fixing and ramp. I think we could probably get away with just 17 here, but we really need to figure out what we want to do here. Rick's Mahdi Guildmage late in the game is pretty awesome. It's a great mana sink. It's a great place to just dump a bunch of mana, but really, I don't know if our deck is going to be super awesome with that. I think our deck might actually want a Nivix Guildmage more to just loot until it hits the right lands or, you know, whatever it needs. Though, I got to say, when your 2-drop / activated abilities are all red, and that's pretty much your splash color. Like, if we take this out, we're all blue-black on the early stages here with the exception of this. Here, why don't we do my thing where I actually place these where I expect to cast them and not what their mana cost is. These are all 2s. This is more like a 4. This is definitely a 6, I'd say. That's a 2. That's a 3. This can be probably a 5. These are all 3s. I'll leave Grizzly Spectacle at 4, though. Who knows? This is like a 7. That can be a 5, 5, and then the imps and all that at 6. So this is what our curve really looks like, based on my estimation of where I think I actually want to cast these spells. And so we're still really, really heavy blue-black with just the red at the top. If we start jamming these things down at the bottom, it kind of messes that up. So I think I am going to start off with a deck like this. I'm not going to run this Guild Gate, but I am going to run these 3 fixers. So we've got a Key Rune, 3 mana fixing lands, and a Prophetic Prism. I think that's fine. Let's add some lands. It wants to do 5/5/4. I don't know that we need quite that much red. I can probably go to 3 here and up this. Let's see what happens if we do that. So if we do that, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-ish black sources, which is okay. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 blue sources. So we can definitely swap out like an island for a swamp here to try to shore that up, because black is definitely one of our main colors here. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have plenty of red sources here as well. So I think this deck looks pretty sweet. Let's take it for a spin.